Ooni Karu 12 versus the Roccbox Gozney. Which one should you buy? At the end of the day, there are two comparable pizza ovens, one which is predominantly wood burning, the other which is predominantly gas burning. So I've played with them for a whole year and I'm going to tell you which one I think is the best. We're going to be comparing the two ovens with my usual three criteria. Build quality, ease of use, because ultimately we want to make fantastic pizzas. And third, clean maintenance and what I wish I knew about them before I bought each individual oven. So let's start off with the quality. If you look around, there are no particular problems with the oven. It still looks brand new. Of course, it's a little bit dirty because, well, I don't clean it all the time. But in terms of functionality, there's no issues, there's no problem whatsoever. I think a couple of things to notice is if you come here, this is where there's the wood burning, so there's a little bit of blemishing around, but I think that's quite normal. To be honest, I don't really mind too much. And it's been totally my fault, but I slightly ruined the plastic leg over here when an amber fell down and just burned this. But other than that, I think it's as sturdy as when I first bought it. Everything still works, things go in and out in a smooth way. Even the front, this has always been very nice and solid and everything is fine. If you look at the stone, which of course you can remove, and we made a pizza yesterday, I think it's important so you see how it looks after you've made a pizza, especially when we touched upon the cleaning and maintenance. And this is the stone. We just made a pizza yesterday, so this is some messing from the pizzas, but I'll show you how we clean it in the third part of this review. And then this is the thing I wanted to show you. It's getting a bit dirty here, so this is the tray where you put the wood. And again, cleaning and maintenance, you'll need to deal with this once you make pizza, so let me just quickly empty this. If you look at the tray, this looks a little bit rusty. It kind of got rusty straight away, so after the first few times it was like this. It's still very sturdy, doesn't really change the functionality per se. So just something to bear in mind. When it comes to quality, I think the Roccbox did fantastic. First of all, a caveat. Let me tell you how I use it. I take it out, I do obviously my pizza outdoor, because you should never cook with this indoor, and then let it cool down, but my storage happens inside the house. So this I would expect to have lasted over a long time because you don't leave it outside with the rain, the snow, the wind, etc., etc., etc. Which is something I advise you to do also because it's really portable, as we're going to discuss in 1 second. So if I look at it, the silicone is totally perfect. There's no blemishes. I every so often wash it with some kind of kitchen spray, all-purpose spray, and any dirt kind of goes away. The steel at the front as well looks fantastic. It's slightly discolored at the top. This one, if you've seen my video review at the beginning, blackens when you cook, but you can just put something wet at the end and it just kind of comes out really nicely. And at the end of the day, considering all the pizzas we made, I think it looks great. The stone is dirty, and we're going to discuss that at the end when we talk about maintenance, because that's an important factor, but this stone gets cleaned out when you switch it off. Legs as well, I think the strength of the legs doesn't change when you open them and close them. They still remain very tough, and I feel this is absolutely sturdy. And the Roccbox comes with the peel, and if you look at the peel as well, it looks totally fine. Of course, we take good care of it. You should always take good care of it. It costs a lot of money, but if you do, it looks totally fine. Now let's talk about the accessories. So you got the thermometer dial, and this one has always worked very well. I find that the thermometer gives you a good reading of the stone, and so far has worked perfectly without any issues whatsoever. And most importantly, the ignition system. That has worked flawlessly throughout. So it's very easy, press the knob, you turn, fire comes on. So when it comes to quality, I've got to give it 10 out of 10. This is a fantastic little product for what it is, and I'm really happy with using it, and I'm going to keep using it for a very, very long time. Now let's talk about the ease of use, and this is a little bit of a sour point for me because there's so many people that absolutely adore the Ooni Karu 12. As I'm sure you know, as you're watching this review, and I'm sure you've done a lot of research, this is the dual fuel Ooni oven. So your standard, it's wood burning, you can have then the gas attachment. When you have the wood burning, I find that it's a bit of a hit and miss. So Ooni sells you their own wood, which of course is cut to size, and it's perfectly dense, and it's great for making the pizza because you only need 3 or 4 sticks, you get to temperature, and everything works. The reality is that, it's more expensive than just making, getting your own normal wood, making your own normal wood. And I find that when I use the wood, from the woods that you see behind me, it's a lot more difficult to find consistency because the pieces of wood can be different sizes, so it can take longer or shorter to get the uni into temperature. The other thing is that also the amount of little wood that you need to burn changes because, again, not everything looks exactly the same. And all this thing to tell you that the ease of use is a little bit more complicated, especially when you're making loads of pizzas, because not only you're making loads of pizzas, you also need to deal with how much wood do I make? I need to cut the wood to size. So it can be a little bit painful, but if you enjoy that kind of stuff, or you're okay to buy the uni wood, then that's fine. Or you can go ahead and do a little bit of experiment to find the perfect wood because you need the flame. At the same time, you need a very high heat output from the wood so that you get the temperature you need to cook the pizza. Then the other thing to bear in mind is that the uni stone is not very thick. So as you can see, it's probably 1 centimeter. And that's important when you're making loads of pizzas because when you put the pizza on the stone, the temperature goes down, you cook your first pizza. But what does it mean? That you need to bring the temperature back up again. So more wood in the tray, you have to wait a little bit. So if you have to make like 10 pizzas, between each of the pizzas, you need to let about 5 minutes go by. So something to bear in mind, especially if you have a big family and screaming kids that want loads of pizza straight away. But assuming you got all the wood sorted, you get this thing to temperature, you can maintain the temperature, then everything else is quite easy. The shape is very compact. You can put pizza in and out in a very easy manner. The peel fits perfectly. So it's a fantastic solution to making pizza at home and making everybody really happy about it. Second thing, ease of use. Is this easy to make a pizza or not? And does it get easier to make a pizza when you become a little bit more of an expert or not? And like I said at the beginning, my initial review of this, the ease of use is spot on. Firstly, the heating is controlled fantastically by the knob that you turn left or right depending on how much flame you want it. One thing I'd like to say is that it does take a little bit longer than I was anticipating to get to temperature. I think it's advertised about 30 minutes. I always find that you need a good 45 minutes to get the stone to 400 degrees Celsius and above, which is where you want it to cook. But once that's set, the ease of use is very easy. Now let's talk about travel and storage. This comes with this strap, which you none other than wrap it around. So you have the handle and you can pull it up and carry it around. This is good to just for storage purpose. It's not advised for you to travel with. There's a special travel bag that comes separately that you have to buy separately with this. But when it comes to storage, that strap is great because what I do is that I wrap it around it and then I can just carry it to my cupboard where I store the Roccbox. When it comes to traveling then, you need to think about two things. You need to bring obviously this, because otherwise you can make a pizza. And then you need to bring the gas canister. I bought a 5 kilo gas canister and this has lasted me for about 15 to 20 cooks. In every cook, I make 5 to 10, 15 pizzas. So you make a lot of pizzas, but is that an extra thing you need to bring with you? I mean, it does weigh those 5, 6, 7, 8 kilos plus this. But I would say it's really easily portable. You can put it in your car. It's quite heavy, so it stays in place. So portability, another really good quality of this. And now for the third part, cleaning and maintenance, and what I wish I knew before I bought the Ooni Karu 12. So in terms of cleaning, it's pretty easy. I usually use baby wipes, or you can use some neutral detergent. You just kind of spray and everything kind of gets cleaned by itself. Super easy. When the season ends, I do a more thorough cleaning where I actually use a hose. I hose everything down in the middle so you get rid of the soot and then make sure you pat it dry because you don't want to store these things with anything wet. Of course, there's also special materials you can use for the steel to make it super shiny. I don't bother with it, but if you are super clean freak, you can go and do that. Now, the other thing is what to do with the pizza tray. So the pizza tray, it's one of those things that you want to clean because when you start making your first pizza, if you have a clean one, then the base is really nice. There are two ways you can do it. This one is removable as I showed you. So you can wash it in water and soap and with a scourer. My preferred way and which I advise you to do it, is just let the oven clean it for you. It's cool, huh? Let it clean it for you. So if you bring this to a really, really high temperature, if you bring this to like 450, 500 degrees Celsius, you will see that the stove will get so hot, it will burn everything, and everything will just form into dust. And then you just swipe it out, and it's much easier. So what I do, for instance, you tend to have the majority of the dirt at the front, while the majority of the heat is at the back. So what you would do is that you put the dirtier bit towards the fire, close it, bring it to super high temperature, let all of that clean off, do a gentle wipe, and then you start making your own pizza. So basically you clean it at the beginning of every cook. Now let's talk about what I wish I knew when I bought this. I think the most important thing you need to realize when you're buying an Ooni Karu 12, as opposed to, for instance, a gas oven or a pellet oven, is that you really need to love dealing with the wood. I'm now going back to the wood because that's key. I mean, this is a wood firing oven. So dealing with the wood is central to making your pizza. And I must admit, I underestimated that. I feel that managing the wood, especially when cooking for a lot of people, it's a lot of work because you need to prepare it, because you need to make sure it you keep fueling it. Then you have a situation where you're making the first pizza, then you're serving it, you want to eat the first pizza together with your friends, but at the same time, this thing will drop in temperature. So you need to be here putting new wood in. So the actual maintenance throughout, especially if you're doing like a party where you want to, have a beer with your friends, look after the kids, it's something you need to factor in. So in fact, one of the things I'm going to be doing now is buying the gas attachment, because I really think that I would be using this a lot more with a gas attachment. Now you can say, but I buy the wood because I want to have the smoky, woody flavor to your pizza. We can have a discussion there. My opinion is that when the pizzas cook in 90 seconds, which is the case in these ovens, that's not enough time to absorb any wood smell. So the reality is that I don't think the wood adds any particular benefit other than saying I'm cooking with wood. It's definitely a nice, compact machine. You can watch my review when I first bought it. I'll show you how to assemble it. I'll show you how to store it. It stores great. It assembles really easily. The quality is there. So after 1 year, pretty much is the same as when I unboxed it. So to wrap it up, I'm still super happy I bought it. With the gas attachment, I feel it will complement it. So if you're a small group, 4 or 5 people, we use the wood. It's fun, it's authentic, it's really Italian, so we can do it. When I'm doing a bigger party, stick on the gas, don't worry about it, and just keep delivering pizzas to the guests. Everybody's gonna be happy. And the fact that this oven can do wood and gas is absolutely unique, and it's a fantastic feature of this oven. Moving on to the third part, which is maintenance and things I wish I knew. So the maintenance, again, it's quite straightforward. What I do at the end of every cook is I let it cool down, because obviously you don't want to burn yourself, and then you can just use an all-purpose spray to clean the silicone outside, and I actually use baby white to clean all the stainless steel outside. I don't clean the inside very often. I probably do at the end of maybe like a month worth of pizza making, then I would just give it a wipe down. It doesn't say that you have to do it, but it doesn't take much. Shove your hand, clean like this, you're gonna get all dirty, you go for a shower, and then it works out and it's perfect. Now let's talk about the stone, because one of the first things I was really upset about is like, how the hell am I gonna clean the stone? Because this stone, unlike the Ooni, you cannot remove it. So you can't go and just soap it up. But that's actually much better, because soaping it up and scrubbing stone I realize it's BS. What you need to do, it's actually self-cleaning, which is amazing for lazy people like myself. So you switch it on, you make this go full blast, which you would need to do anyway before any cook to get it to temperature. We let the plane pass. When you get to 400 degrees, you'll see that all the debris and all the dirt is just gonna turn into dust and practically disappear. So this will actually clean itself. You store it dirty because you finish your pizzas and then you store it, but then it cleans up before you make your next pizza on your next cook. Things I wish I knew. There are not too many things I wish I knew when I got this, because actually it was really easy, but a few things I think are important. First of all, the accessory. This already comes with a peel like we discussed, but you also want to buy an infrared gun because you want to know what temperature the stone is. So that's something that before you cook for the first time, you want to buy. Secondly, the gas canister.
I spent so much time thinking, what gas canister do I want? Do I want the big one? Do I take the 5 kilo one? Then I have to end up changing it all the time. I'm really glad I got the 5 kilo one because it's a lot more portable. It's about this high. And like I said before, over 15 sessions of cooking. So that's plenty. If you had the bigger one, it's more expensive. You're probably not going to use it. It's going to take you ages to finish it. Then if you need to carry it around, it's again heavier. So that's an important thing. The other thing which I think is important for you to know though is that between one pizza and the next pizza, you need to let some time go by. So I used this for the first time last summer for my daughter's birthday, and I was making a pizza party for all the girls. And I realized that after the first pizza, the other pizzas, the base was not cooked the way I wanted it. Because at the end of the day, the stone is not a professional stone. It's still relatively thin. So when you put a pizza in, the stone temperature is going to drop. So when you get the pizza out, before putting the next pizza in, you need to have the stone up to temperature. So what I do is that I would tend to put the fire to the max, 5 minutes. You get again to the 400 degrees you want. You lower it because I find it's easier to cook it in a lower heat. It doesn't burn the top as much. And then you make your next pizza. In that case, then you're all set. You're gonna make fantastic pizza time over time over time over time.
So they're both fantastic pizza oven, but which one do I think is the best? So if you look at the Ooni Karu 12 and also you purchase, that's my dog, and you also purchase the gas burner, it comes at about the same price as the Gozney Roccbox. So ultimately the two things are equivalent in price. In terms of build quality, I also think they're very similar. I think the Roccbox feels to me a touch more higher quality. I feel like everything is a little bit sturdier, a little bit heavier. I love the Roccbox has a protective silicone around it, while the Ooni is not. So you have to be a little bit more careful when you're, especially kids, to touch it. Then the other thing is that the Ooni can have both gas and wood. My personal preference is using with gas because I find the wood sometimes a little bit gimmicky. And then the two ovens are extremely complementary. So imagine you have a small family or just a couple. The Ooni Karu is fantastic because you can have the authentic Italian pizza with the wood, you have the smokiness, and it's totally manageable. I find that if you have a big family or you intend to take them out to make parties, the Roccbox is the safer bet. The gas is a lot more stable, it's easier to heat up, it's easier to maintain, and it's easier to make pizzas after pizza after pizza. So if you have a family, the Ooni Karu in wood is great, but this also has the option of putting in the gas. So I think once the gas is installed, then you can bring it up for parties and you can really unleash the full potential of this Ooni Karu 12. So in a nutshell, the Ooni Karu 12, in my opinion, makes sense when you buy the gas attachment as well, so you got a monster machine. The Roccbox is fantastic as it is. It's just standalone, you got everything in what you purchase, and it works time and time again. It's very consistent. So ultimately, those two ovens are two beauties, and as long as you make delicious pizzas, and make sure to check my recipe for them, because it's actually very delicious, then you're just gonna be very happy. Buon appetito!